300 likes in 24 hours, and I promise that next Wednesday you're gonna have the second part, but also next Sunday you're gonna have another tutorial. Yo, what is up guys, welcome to a new video. Today I'm gonna start with a new series and it's about mixing your songs. And please, now don't start sending me all your songs to get them mixed on these videos, okay? Please. I think these kind of videos are gonna be good for you because most of you make the same problems, and mixing your songs is gonna help to see what problems you have and how to solve them. And this time I'm gonna mix a song by a guy called Massive, and it's a progressive house song. What I'm gonna show you is how to mix the entire project, okay, the breakdown and the drop. And if you want to know more about how to mix and master and how to produce a progressive house song, you know that I've released a masterclass. If you don't know it, I have a video on YouTube where I explain everything, and down here in the description you have the link to buy the masterclass. And if you do it, just thank you so much. And with that being said, don't wait more and let's start with this tutorial. Alright, so we're here in FL Studio, and before showing you how the song sounds and all these things, I want to talk about how to export the stems when you send it to mix it, because there are some problems in these stems. The first thing is that these stems are in MP3. My advice is to always send it on WAV, because when you export on WAV you keep the same quality. So the best is always to keep it on WAV until you export it to just release it. And also on these stems there are some problems, especially in this one, because this should be the drums on the drop. But if we play it, as you can hear, it has the clap, it has the rise, and it has some vocal ambient sound in the background. And that's not good, because when you export the stems, what you want to do is just group the things together. Okay, don't export like one stem for every single sound. If you have 5 leads, don't export one stem for every single lead, because that's not practical. Just create the stems by grouping things that are similar or has the same purpose. For example, if you have 5 leads, just export one stem of all the leads, one stem for the chords, one stem for all the drums. And also we can see this problem here. He sent me all the entire breakdown in one stem, and I cannot mix the breakdown this way. I can EQ it and I can compress it and maybe work on the stereo imaging, but I cannot balance the sounds, you know. So I asked him to solve these problems, and he sent me all of these stems. Now it's a lot better because we have here the drums, here we have the vocal sounds, this is the entire breakdown. Okay, so that's a lot better. If we play the drop, it sounds like this. So the first thing I like to do when I'm gonna mix a track is always organize the things. I like to put first the kick, then the drums, then I put the drop sounds or the break sounds, and then I put the others, okay? But always organize, and then at the end I put the effects. And well, I heard here something that the clap was sounding before. As you can see, this is the clap and this is the kick. Probably is because these sounds here that have this little thing are the wave, and these are the MP3, and when you export an MP3 it always has a bit of delay. So I'm just gonna move it to have it at the same spot. And now what I do is, of course, check what BPM it is. Probably it's 128 because it's progressive house, but what I do is always go to the kick, cut it right where the kick is, put it to the beginning of the project, and now when you move the BPM you're gonna see how these kicks start to fit on the grid. So if we move it, as you can see now, all the kicks fit on the grid, so it means we are in 128 BPM. And after that, what I do is try to find some errors in the wave files. And for example, on this one, on the kick, it has like a little click at the beginning, as you can see. And sometimes can happen this, so what I do is just cut it. And after that, if I have a lot of stems, in this case I like to color them, because this way it's gonna be easier to see the project, and it's gonna be a bit more comfortable in my opinion. Now that we have it organized, let's start with it. As you can see, if I play it, it gets to 0 and more than 0. So what I'm gonna do is decrease all of them a little bit. I'm just gonna check on the kick, so -6, a little bit less. So now just try to mix the sounds. This kick has a lot of mids here, so it sounds like a bit like a box. I'm gonna reduce a little bit, something like this, and I'm gonna just put it on mono to make sure it sounds on the center. And as you can see in this second stem, I still have the drums in and the vocal ambient, so I just have to cut it because he didn't send me the build-up drums separated. So here I have a problem because it has the vocals, but well, I'm just gonna try to deal with it. In this one we have the snares. Let's check them. I think this sub here we don't need it, so I'm just gonna cut it like this. And I think it has a bit too much highs. Just like this. Okay, this snare is way too loud. It's loud on the kick, so we don't want that. What I'm gonna do is just cut it, make it unique, and reduce the volume. It reduces too much, you know, the difference on these two. So what I'm gonna do is on this one, I'm gonna put it on smooth, and this one also on smooth. So the transition is a bit smoother. More like this, and reduce here. Now in my opinion sounds better. Let's check the claps. We can just cut a little bit here to make sure we don't have any low end. Anything. We don't really need that. Now check the rights. As you can see, we have a little bit of bass here, and probably you're saying, oh, this is just nothing almost, so I don't need to cut it. Cut it always, because this little bit of here, this little bit of the claps, a little bit of the, you know, ambient sound and so on, at the end you have a lot of sub bass that is gonna interfere with the sub and the kick. So just cut it. You don't need to cut it like this, just like this. So now you play with the kick together. I think the claps are too wide compared to the rights. I'm gonna put the rights a little bit to right and the claps a little bit to the left. Yeah, the claps sound a bit moody. The rights are too loud. Well, I'm gonna focus more on the volume later. Now let's go for the leads. Let me check one thing. Yeah, as you can see, if you're hearing on headphones or speakers, when I click that, it completely changed the sound, and it's probably because the producer panned the leads, and I'm not a big fan of that. What I recommend you is if you pan the leads, like you put one on the left and one on the right, try to have similar leads on both sides, because otherwise you create an imbalance that you don't really want. In this case, we have like a really important lead on the left and one that is kind of softer and more high in the right, so it creates an imbalance and it's not good, especially on the leads. That is one of the most important things on the drop. First, I'm gonna cut because check all of this low end that we don't want. And what I'm gonna do now is do another low cut, but with the side. So if I did like this, it's mono, but I don't want that much, so it kind of solves the problem. As I don't have the stems, I cannot go to each lead and pan it right, or I cannot go to the synth and touch the attack or the release or whatever. And there are some highs that are kind of ugly. Most of the times the leads have some problems here, so try to reduce. Now sounds a bit better in my opinion, a bit softer. Let's go with the chords. My opinion, it has way too much bass. I'm gonna check that later, and what I'm gonna do is check where the leads are present, are important. I would say around here, around 4,000 or 5,000. So I'm gonna reduce a little bit there on the chords to give more space to the leads. I'm also gonna reduce a little bit the top end. And let's check the bass line, because I think the scores has way too much mid-lows. Give some space to the sub. They are playing in the same part, so to check if they are clashing, what I like to do is to put on the master. So I put a filter like this, so I only hear this part, and now when I play the chords, what I like to do is go here on copy, and now I go to the B and I put it a bit higher. So now if I A-B, I'm gonna check if it changes. Okay, my opinion sounds a lot cleaner. So what I'm gonna do is check if it's too much. As you can see, it is too much, so just reduce something like this. And I'm also gonna touch the sides of it. I'm gonna cut them a little bit. Now sounds a bit cleaner. And on this bass line, what I'm gonna do is cut the highs. Probably until here. Now they sound bad, but the thing is that when you play with the chords and with the leads, probably you cannot see any difference. A little bit, so. This way it sounds cleaner and give more space to the chords and to the leads. And probably here, I'm gonna reduce a little bit here because it sounds a bit bad in my opinion. Now let's check the sub. And all of these mid highs, you don't need it in the sub. You already have the chords and you already have the bass line, so just cut it. And this bass here is basically rumble bass that you don't want, so I'm just gonna also cut it. I'm gonna put it on 30 Hertz. Most of the speakers don't reproduce on 30 Hertz below, so you can cut it. The thing is where I should cut. So what I'm gonna do is open the bass line and I'm gonna check where the bass line is and if they are clashing. So the bass line hits around here and the sub bass also. So I'm gonna cut a bit more. I want a bit more power on the sub bass, so I'm gonna put the R bass. Not that much. Just a little bit more extra power. Then we have this arpeggio. It doesn't have reverb and it doesn't have sidechain, so I'm just gonna put both things. Not that much sidechain. Something like this. And on the reverb, I'm just gonna create one really quick. And reduce also on the 4000, so we give a space to the leads. And I think this ARP is way too wide, so oh, it's kind of okay. I'm a little bit too much, so something like this is okay. Now let's check this vocal sound. You can cut all of this. Has a resonance here. And it also doesn't have reverb. So what I'm gonna do is create here a group. I'm gonna link them to here, and I'm gonna put their same reverb as the ARP, and I'm gonna put the sidechain. The second ambient sound has sidechain, but well, I'm just gonna put a bit more, so it has the same one as this one. Finally, on the drop, we have this effect. Well, we have a bit of this riser that we don't want, so I'm just gonna cut it, and this. I think it's good. As you can see, now I only EQ it basically. So what I'm gonna do now is balance the volumes because it's what it really needs to mix it. And to do that, a thing I like to use is the pink noise. The first thing I'm gonna put is the kick. And what I want is with the pink noise, almost don't hear the kick. I'm gonna reduce a bit the volume. So there I can hear the kick, but just a little bit. So I'm gonna start adding the rest of the sounds and put the volume until I can hear them just a little bit. On this one is gonna be hard because of how it sounds. I'm just gonna do it by ear now. If you put it on, it's gonna help a bit. Thing like that. I'm gonna start first with the chords. So this is too much, and this is too less. Maybe you cannot really hear the difference on your speakers. And now to put the sub, I'm just gonna mute those two. And a thing I like to do is to put a filter and to put the SM Exoscope plugin. So this way I can see the waveform. And I think it's good. Okay, the sub bass is kind of good. And now let's put the leads. For the leads, what I like to do is to make it a bit louder than the rest, okay? Not only when I hear it, just a little bit louder. Not like this, of course. The big noise is gonna help you to see if something is too loud or not, so that's why I use it. So now if you play it, yeah, I think it's good. Now just let's add the ARP. Well, what I'm gonna do with this ARP, I think it's gonna be better if we don't have it at the beginning and we put it only in the second part. Also with the bass line. Here I'm gonna just mute it. Now I'm gonna add the ambience vocals. I'm gonna put a bit more highs on them. And do a low cut as always. Spray everything but the leads. And let's check how the effects sound. Okay, I shouldn't be doing this, but I think the drop needs a bit more energy. So what I'm gonna do is add a white noise. I think this one is gonna fit. And also what I want to do is to add a crowd effect. So these two sounds, what they're gonna do is cover a lot of space on the drop, and it's gonna make it sound a bit more powerful. I'm gonna put these two on one mixer channel, and I'm gonna put the kickstart. Probably now it's way too loud. Yeah, so reduce it here. I'm gonna reduce a bit on the highs. I think it's too much. And I need to cut here. And I'm also gonna add a down lifter to give more energy. So without these three sounds, it sounds like this. And with these three sounds, it sounds like this. Has a lot more energy now. And well, then here we have risers. So let's check the risers, how they are. We don't need this up. I think it has way too much mids. Probably they are too loud, so. And the problem here is that it has the rights, and here we have them too, so I'm gonna just mute them from here so we don't double it. And here increase a little bit, and the vocals are way too loud. I also think the leads need a bit more body and a bit less highs. I'm gonna bring back the stereo of the leads. I think the kick is a bit too loud. Okay, so let's put everything in mono. Let's put the pink noise back again and check if I can hear the entire song. Yeah, I think it's good. Here I have the previous version of this song, so let's check how it sounds, and let's check then how it sounds mine. In my opinion, now sounds a bit more glued, everything, it sounds a bit warmer and the balance of the sounds is a bit better. And well, as I don't want to make this video that long because now it's actually pretty long, I'm gonna divide this video in 2 parts. So in the next part, I'm gonna work on the breakdown that maybe you're thinking, oh, the breakdown is not important. No, the breakdown is also super important and you need to take care of the breakdown. And especially this one has some problems that most of you have and you don't know. So I recommend you to check the next video because it's gonna help you a lot. So now depends on you. If we get to 300 likes, I repeat, 300 likes in 24 hours, I know it's a bit hard, but I know you can do it. I promise that next Wednesday you're gonna have the second part, but also next Sunday you're gonna have another tutorial. But if we don't get to 300 likes in 24 hours, you're just gonna have the second part next Sunday. So it depends on you if you wanna have 1 or 2 videos next week. So guys, if you like this video, don't forget to leave the like and also don't forget to subscribe because this way you don't miss the second part and you don't miss any tutorial. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.